is going on YouTube, and welcome back to Coffee and Carry. My name is Paul, and I've got a knife review for you. The knife you've got in front of you right here, if you don't already know, and if you hadn't read the thumbnail, this is going to be the Kershaw Link. The model number for this particular blade is the 1776 BW. BW indicating that this is a black washed finish. Before I get into the knife, I'm going to go ahead and give you the specs. Length open is 7.6 inches. You've got a 3.25 inch blade. The blade is made out of 420 HC steel, which is 420 high carbon steel. And the total weight of this knife is 4.8 ounces. This particular model is running the FRN, the fiberglass reinforced nylon scales. You can also get this in aluminum scales with varying colors. But this is the model that they had. Went into Walmart, and this is the last one that they had, and this is the model they had, so this is what I bought. I paid $25 for this knife out the door. I do know that $30 to $35 is pretty much average for this particular knife, so I was pretty happy getting it at $25. And I think some people have actually picked this knife up recently at Walmart for around the $10 to $15 range on sale. So that's a super, super good deal for what you're getting in this package. As far as the knife goes, I've carried this for just over a month on the daily. I've carried it every single day. This has been my primary pocket knife, my primary folder since the day that I got it, and I am super, super satisfied and happy with what I'm getting in this package. Let's just go ahead and talk about what we want to talk about first. Let's talk about the pocket clip and how it carries in the pocket. Now, it's not a deep carry pocket clip. It actually rides fairly high in the pocket, but I've never really had a problem with that. I prefer a knife that rides a little bit deeper in my pocket, but it's not really a big deal with me because I work in the medical field, but I'm in the technical side of things. So it's not uncommon or unusual to see people in my line of work with a pocket knife. So it doesn't scream tactical or anything that's flashy or scary. So I can get by with carrying a pocket knife, and I'm not really concerned about concealing it all that much. Now, this pocket clip is right or left hand carry, but you cannot change your tip orientation. This is going to be tip up only. I know a lot of guys don't like that. When I'm dealing with a knife that's sub $50 or even sub $100, I don't really get too tied up on which way my blade is oriented anyway. So that's the clip situation on this. I've not had any issues with the clip. The clip's very solid. I don't know if you can hear that. It's got a very, very good it's got good retention to it, and I've not had any issues with this knife trying to work its way out of my pocket, which is the issue that I've had with some budget-friendly knives, is they want to try to walk out of your pocket. The blade steel on this particular knife, of course, I said it is 420 HC. The HC just stands for high carbon. This is the 400 line of stainless, but this particular model has higher carbon content in the blade. Therefore, you're going to get a little bit better edge and edge retention on this particular blade than some of the other 400 series steels on the market. I'm wanting to say that Buck also uses 420 HC in a lot of their knives, and they do a really, really good job with their heat treat. And Kershaw has done a very good job with their heat treat in this knife as well. For what I paid for this knife and for what I've used this knife for, the 420 HC has been completely satisfactory in all of the areas that I've used this knife. I've sharpened it once, and any other time I've done anything to it, it's just been a quick strop, and it brings the edge right back to life. Come out of the box pretty sharp. Of course, the first thing I do with a new knife, unless it's just screaming sharp, is I strop it. And I just polish that edge a little bit, and I get it where I want it. But being able to keep an edge on this blade has not been a problem. Now, there's some budget blades out there and some knives that offer budget steels, and I'm not very happy with how they do their heat treat on the steels that they use. Some of the companies being CRKT. I've had a few of their budget knives, and I'm not very happy with the edge retention on their AUS 8. So I'm not the guy that just praises all budget knives and say, budget is best, but there's definitely better and there's definitely worse options when you're diving into the budget knife category. What do I like about this knife? I like the dimensions. I like the scales and I like the handle on this knife. I've seen this knife before on display with the FRN handles, and I've got a few friends that have the aluminum scaled versions, and I just always thought that I would gravitate toward the aluminum handles. Now, in comparison to feel, the aluminum handle does feel like a more premium knife. Now, this one does not feel cheap by any stretch of the word, but the aluminum does give the knife a little bit more of a premium feel in the hand. But as far as just being a work knife and everyday user, I've gotten to where I prefer the feel of the more full FRN grips on this. It's a little bit thicker than the aluminum, and it just gives me a better grip, and it gives me better purchase on the knife, and it's just more comfortable for me to hold. As far as the dimensions of the handle of this knife, I have medium to large hands. And I can get a full 4-finger grip with some to spare on this, so plenty adequate as far as grip length, and the grip width again is super comfortable. It's got a really good lockup. You've got a good thick liner lock there, and as you can see, if I can keep it in frame here, get good lockup on that blade. Blade stock is fairly thick. It's thick enough to be robust, but it's also thin enough to where it will slice very, very well. You do have this little bit of a swedge cut out on the back side here. That's mainly for aesthetics and a little bit of weight. And as far as the liner, it is not, yes, the liner is not skeletonized, so that does kind of add to your weight. That's kind of where you're getting some of that the extra ounces there. 4.8 ounces for a knife this size is somewhat heavy, but this knife is balanced out well enough to where it's really not a problem. It feels really comfortable in the hand, and it feels very well balanced. I really, really like everything about this knife, guys. There's not too much that I can say about this knife that is negative. I was at work the other day. I will say I work around a lot of water some days. Some of the equipment that I maintain and I take care of is in a dialysis setting in a water room. So we have carbon tanks, ROs, filters, all that we have to change, we have to maintain. And we were rebedding some carbon tanks, which means we're removing the old carbon out of the tank and we're replacing it with new carbon. And it's just a very wet process. And I noticed at the end of the day, now mind you, I got drenched at one point during the day. Our mineral extractor pretty much exploded. Hoses blew off of it and all that good stuff. It got stopped up with carbon and it just turned into a very bad scenario. So I got drenched. And I noticed at the end of the day in some of these places where your etching is, had a little bit of surface rust, and then on the back side here where the American flag is, had a little bit of surface rust, but it was very, very easy. I just got some WD-40 and squirted on there and wiped it off with a paper towel, and it come right off. So that is a consideration with it having a higher carbon content, that you will have more issues with rust. It will be more prone to rust than some of your other stainless versions. But if you maintain the knife the way that you're supposed to, that's not a big deal. If you keep it oiled and dry, then you shouldn't have a problem with that. And if rust isn't a problem to you and you don't mind your blade getting a little bit of rust on it after use, then it shouldn't be a problem with you either way. If you are anal retentive with the rust on your blade, that might be something to consider. I particularly don't care for rust on my blades. I will put a knife away for good if it rusts too easily. I have a few CRKTs that run some AUS 8, and you can look at those things the right way and they'll rust over, and it drives me insane. Therefore, they never get carried. All in all, guys, for the money that you're going to pay, even if you have to pay full retail price for this knife, the $30 to $35 that they're asking for, I would not hesitate to recommend this to anyone. I would not hesitate to pay more money than what I paid for that one if this one needed to be replaced. If I lost this one today and I went to buy another one tomorrow and they jumped the price to $50, I would pay it, because this knife is definitely worth that price point. You're paying sub $40 on average for a USA made solid knife, and you really can't go wrong. It's a Kershaw. Kershaw makes fantastic blades. Oh, what I did not mention, and this is actually a speed safe, and as far as I'm concerned, Kershaw makes one of the best assisted opening knives. KIA as a whole makes one of the best assisted opening systems on the market as far as I'm concerned. It beats any other knife company as far as assisted opening. And it's definitely smooth. Deploys very, very quickly. Your detent is strong enough that you don't have to worry about this thing firing off in your pocket, but it's not difficult to initiate that forward motion at all. No pocket, there are no thumb stud on this particular blade. This is flipper style only. So yeah, guys, that's going to be my review of the Kershaw Link 1776 in black wash finish. If you do not have this knife, if you're looking at getting into a sub $50 budget-friendly knife and you don't really know which direction to go, I encourage you to check out Kershaw, namely the Kershaw Link, because I just think that it is an amazing mixture between American-made and budget-friendly materials, where you're not going to go wrong with buying into this particular knife. Whether it's the FRN handle or the aluminum scaled version, you're not going to go wrong, and I just don't see where anybody would be disappointed, especially for what you're going to pay for these knives. They are absolutely amazing. Well, guys, that is it for this review. If I missed anything, I greatly apologize. I hope you found this review helpful. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you like the content that I'm putting out, you can go ahead and subscribe. I'm not really in this to be famous. I'm not really in this to get a lot of subscribers, but I do appreciate people that want to jump on board and see what I have to offer. Over the next few months, I am going to be doing reviews on more budget-friendly knives, and in the near future, I am going to be buying into some more premium knives over the next couple of months, so you can expect some reviews and some overviews of that as well. So guys, if this is the kind of content that you're interested in, just your average everyday Joe buying average everyday stuff that works, I'm the guy you want to come listen to, because that's kind of my specialty. Again, I am not against higher end custom. I love Microtechs, I love Heretic knives, I love all of that, and I plan on buying into those sooner than later. But my OG, my original love is your budget lines and your budget-friendly knives. That's just what I've always loved, and that's what I've always bought into. So if that's kind of what you're into and you wanted to get into some good gear, but you don't want to have to sell a kid or mortgage your house to get into it, come check out my channel, because I'm going to be pushing out quite a bit of content that has to do with that. Well, anyway, guys, I finally come up with a catchy outro phrase, and it's going to be, keep your coffee strong, and I just forgot it. What was it going to be? Well, looks like I still don't have a catchy out phrase. Maybe I'll write it down when it comes back into my head, and I'll set it over here to the side so I don't forget it. Anyway, guys, have a good day. I look forward to putting out some more videos and seeing what you guys have to think and have to say about my content. Have a good one, guys.